but not least, very simple. The champs. Committee is fair. They're bringing ostensibly everyone back. They just won 16 of their last 17 games. They blew out the Commanders in the conference championship game. They blew out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They are atop the tiers until another game is played, at the very least. That are the offseason tiers, Coach.
Okay. Nice little short clip, because there have essentially been no Philadelphia Eagles clips on First Things First since Monday. There's been more outside of Monday, because obviously they have to talk about the Super Bowl. But outside of Monday aside, there's been more Luka and Golden State Warriors clips. There's been more about, obviously, we know Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes than the Eagles. More Dallas Cowboys. More New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. More about the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. More about all these other teams than the Philadelphia Eagles, who just had one of the most dominant performances of all time. Who had the most dominant performance, playoff performance, whole playoff run in NFL history, scoring the most points ever in a playoff run. And yet it's still being so under-discussed, and I can't actually grasp why. I already made a whole video that I really encourage you to check out through the herd. But I thought things were going to kind of change a little bit. And I just can't believe that throughout this week that there's more conversations about the Dallas Cowboys. And in fact, when I thought that there was going to finally be a Philadelphia Eagles segment on First Things First, on Thursday, it was about something about Cooper DeJean, kind of talked about like how to beat Patrick Mahomes and what they wanted to do from a game plan. And it was just about Patrick Mahomes. The segment was, it showed Cooper DeJean in his face and the Philadelphia Eagles green, but it was just about Patrick Mahomes, not about the Philadelphia Eagles and their defense, etc., etc. And it's just wild. I mean, it really, 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 really is. How have there been no segments about Jaylen Hurts' playoff performance, his multiple Super Bowl performances? How is there not a whole segment about this? Tell me. In their 2 Super Bowl matchups, how is there not a whole segment about the greatness and the eliteness that Jaylen Hurts has done in not 1, but 2 Super Bowls? His truly dominant performances. And we know we can take away 2 or 3 of those touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes' total. We know that. Come on. But I mean, less turnovers, more touchdowns, double the rushing yards, more passing yards. Again, take away another 100 or 200 of his passing yards as well. I mean, like, Jaylen Hurts is essentially doubling him in multiple categories. It's pretty remarkable. And like no actual discussion about that. Especially considering, remember leading up to the Super Bowl, remember leading up to every playoff game. It was just Jaylen Hurts not good, Jaylen Hurts not good, Jaylen Hurts not good, Jaylen Hurts not good, Jaylen Hurts not good. And then of course on Monday they had to concede and admit, but that was more of like, I'm a prisoner and I have to just like read off of, the sheet of paper. Not like an actual real discussion. Unbelievable. How are we not talking about this? The Eagles just completed one of the most dominant playoff runs in NFL history. Through 4 playoff games, they averaged 36.25 points per game, while holding opponents to 18.75. It's effectively 15.25 as the Chiefs were down 40-6 until the Eagles pulled their starters. The Chiefs didn't start scoring points until Nick Sirianni was taking a Gatorade bath. They had 6 sacks in the Super Bowl, 1 short of the Super Bowl record, while not blitzing once. And they averaged 204.5 rushing yards per game. And again, these numbers would have been even a little bit higher Because one, the Philadelphia Eagles obviously, took their foot off the gas once they clearly were in control, and now they were just trying to milk the clock in the Super Bowl. Not to mention, even against the Green Bay Packers, Saquon Barkley himself just slid down. You could have added another, what would have been, like another 50 yards or something, another like 50 yards and a touchdown, So it's just like you could increase there. One of the games was in a blizzard, a literal blizzard. I mean, it's extraordinary. Also, they would have scored even more than the 55 points against the Washington Commanders. But again, you reach a point where you're like, all right, we're just, we're not trying to run the score up here. It's just kind of unbelievable. Why are we not talking about that? Again, if the Kansas City Chiefs did this, this would be everywhere. Everybody would be talking about how we've never seen this been done before in the history of the world. This was one of the most dominant runs or performances in all of sports. And Nick would be comparing it to what the Yankees did in 1996 or something, and what the Patriots did in 2003, and he would be comparing it to the Lakers and what Kobe and Shaq did, and the Golden State Warriors. There would be a whole ranking. There would be a whole mountain, right, where it's about where do we, is this the greatest playoff run in all of sports? But it's nothing. Nothing. It's like it doesn't exist. How are we not talking about this? That Jaylen Hurts is the only quarterback in NFL history to do all the following in any single game. Regular season game or postseason. Throw for 200 plus yards, rush for 70 plus yards, throw multiple touchdown passes, rush for a touchdown. Complete 75% of his passes, average 10 plus yards per pass attempt, and win the game. And he did it in the Super Bowl. And he could have done it in 2 Super Bowls. How is that not just its own segment in itself? Especially again when you have so many segments leading up to all the playoff games throughout the entire season. How is this not highlighted? How do we have takes on should the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons, or how close are the Dallas Cowboys to the Philadelphia Eagles? How are we not talking about this? Just in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles have made the playoff since 2000. The Philadelphia Eagles have had 17 appearances, 20 playoff wins, which is the second most playoff wins only to the New England Patriots, which I always say, 4 NFC titles, 2 Super Bowls. And they had a segment about how close are the Dallas Cowboys to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, to their defense, they said not much at all. Although Bruce said he loved that Dak said that. They have 4 playoff wins since 2000. And the Philadelphia Eagles have 4 NFC titles, NFC championship titles, and 2 Super Bowl wins. And as I always say, the Philadelphia Eagles, in the last 7 years since Dak Prescott was drafted, they have 2 Super Bowl wins, whereas Dak Prescott has 2 playoff wins and never an NFC championship game appearance. Jaylen Hurts himself has 4 appearances, 6 wins. Jaylen Hurts himself has more playoff wins than the Dallas Cowboys have in the last 25 years. That's pretty remarkable. Jaylen Hurts has 2 NFC championship titles. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys have 2 playoff wins since before Jaylen Hurts was drafted. Why are we not talking about that? I mean, this is just funny. 29 years since the Cowboys' last Super Bowl title. Jaylen Hurts is 26 years old. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Jaylen Hurts was born and raised, played in high school and college and the NFL, and has been to multiple Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl in the time span that the Cowboys, in a shorter time span than it took the Cowboys to even just make an NFC championship game. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, just the blatant disrespect that the Philadelphia Eagles continue to get. Eagles GM Howie Roseman was snubbed off of the top 3 executive list. Could you imagine everything that Howie Roseman did and what the Philadelphia Eagles did, what they've been able to build? And tied for 4th with 3, I think it was like 3 votes or something. Could you imagine how every single move that Howie Roseman made ended up being massive in this playoff run? Not only just obviously throughout the season, but in this specific playoff run itself. Just the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl itself. Every single one of his moves ended up being absolutely crucial. And I guess it's just nothing. Okay. Sign Saquon Barkley to a 3-year deal. Reestablish the running back market. Again, don't have revisionist history. This was an unpopular move. He got blasted more by the media and fans. Not Eagles fans for you that matter, but other fans and media members. This was not like drafting LeBron James #1 overall pick. People are acting like it was. Like, oh, it's a no-brainer. Of course they would. No. People ripped this. I unpacked it when it happened. Signed Zach Bond to a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. Took over starting LB job. Defensive Player of the Year. All-Pro. Drafted Mitchell and Cooper DeJean back-to-back rounds. Both have looked like, this is a little dated, this little graphic. Both have looked like stars of the future. No, they're stars of today. They're stars of today. Let's be clear here. Let's be clear here. And what this also leaves out is hiring Kellen Moore, hiring Fangio, grabbing Mekhi Becton, Cam Jurgens. Like there's plenty of other moves. Going out and getting AJ Brown, going out and getting CJ Gardner-Johnson. I mean, there's lots of more moves that we're missing here. I mean, he's the one that that drafted Jaylen Hurts, traded Carson Wentz, which then led to Cooper DeJean, Mitchell. I think I forget. It led to something else. It might have also led to AJ Brown as well. With the draft capital, I have that somewhere as well. Right here. Carson Wentz trade led to Devontae, AJ Brown, Jalen Carter, and Cooper DeJean. So you all realize Carson Wentz is directly responsible for 2 Super Bowls for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a huge reason why they won in 2017. Some people try to argue against that, and I don't know how. I mean, he was leading that team. Obviously, Nick Foles brought it home, but it was like, it's like a running back taking the ball to the 20-yard line, going off on a massive 80-yard run. Carson Wentz was a huge reason. He really got the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a big reason why they got the #1 seed, home field advantage, et cetera. And then, Nick Foles and company brought it home. So he deserves that ring. He didn't play in the Super Bowl, obviously, but he was integral. And then because of him getting banged up and having some issues, Howie Roseman drafted Jaylen Hurts. And then because, Carson Wentz wanted out, they then traded him. And he played good enough to get, to command enough. And then, obviously, as I just showed you, Howie Roseman turned that into magic, which then directly led to another Super Bowl. So you can't have 2 Super Bowls without Carson Wentz. So Philadelphia Eagles owe a ton to Carson Wentz. And I really firmly believe that. I really, really do. So, be kind to Carson. Be kind to Carson. You should thank him if you ever see him. Yeah, I don't even have like the energy and that fire to keep going up against it. Because I'm so dumbfounded at this point. And like I said, I already made that one video where I really went on this whole passionate plea about like the lack of acknowledgement of just truly how great this all was. But then when I just kind of lock into some of these other shows and like First Things First, and it's just kind of like business as usual, discussing like the Dallas Cowboys, the Baltimore Ravens, the New York Jets, and I'm like, and I really think about it and I go, there's legitimately more content around the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs than the Philadelphia Eagles. The week of the aftermath of them winning the Super Bowl and the way that they won the Super Bowl and the play from their defense, their quarterback, what they did in all the playoff games collectively. It actually is truly stunning. It really is. It actually genuinely is. And like I talked about too before, like the Philadelphia Eagles are a massive market. Massive. Again, it's not up for debate. They are one of the most popular teams. They are consistently top in the NFL. And I don't mean just like top 10. Like they're top in most ratings, in most views and in highest ratings. This Super Bowl alone was the highest rated Super Bowl. But again, even just their individual games, their fan base, like it's massive. It's not up for debate. It's literally quantifiable. Like it's just math. So I can't wrap my head around it. The Philadelphia Eagles are actually more popular than the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, it's just a fact. It's just analytical data that you could like look up yourself. And they win in this way. And it's so under-discussed. And that's why I wanted to go through some of those facts that I did. And I've done this a handful of times. And I have to make a video off of the tiers because there's nothing else to do. It actually does leave me kind of speechless. It really does. And I'm still processing it, honestly. I really am. I'm still processing it. Because it's just remember all the content around the Philadelphia Eagles leading into these games and how it was just overwhelmingly negative. And the Eagles passed with flying colors, won in dominant, electric fashion, especially the conference championship game in the Super Bowl. And then there's just like nothing. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. I think I said all that I could about it, and I don't want to just kind of keep repeating that again and again. But it's just like I said, I'm still kind of because it's when I say it out loud, I'm just like it gets crazier to me. It actually does. It gets crazier. I can understand if the Eagles beat the Cincinnati Bengals or something, or like I could get that if it was a 21-10. And they beat the Houston Texans. Like, yeah, I could understand, I got it. I get it. I don't know. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? According to Nick, being the best team in the NFL going into next season. And really the lack of discussion around it. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.